Headline news most affecting Chilliwack this week. The Chilliwack School Board will not mandate vaccines for teachers and support staff. An anti-mask, anti-vaccine protest taking some of the fun away from a minor football game. Somebody forgot to proofread a government release. That caused some local controversy. And by the way, the show did go on for the Chilliwack Giants football program. Our special guest this week includes Willow Reichelt, the chair of the Chilliwack School Board. And our top story. As we go to broadcast, the official Remembrance Day ceremonies are over. However, wreaths will still be on display at local cenotaphs for the next few days. You can pay your respects anytime without worrying about social distance protocol. But also, if you wish, with the purchase of a wreath now over, you can still make contributions to Legions and to Anavets. That money will go to support veteran service programs through the Legion. Last Saturday, Chilliwack Giants Pee Wee football playoff game against North Langley was also the scene of an anti-vax protest. About 10 to 12 people shouting they had their, quote, rights and did not have to abide by the rules created a small disturbance. Now, the game did go on as planned. We have the results later on in the show. David Rooney, the president of the Valley Community Football League, sent out a statement to media after the game was over. It read, and I quote, in part, "The fines at organized events are charged actually to the organization, not individuals who choose to ignore the order. Now, we simply cannot afford to even cover one $2,300 fine without sacrificing funding that goes directly to the kids playing. The gentleman who started this is a football parent from Mission, and their child was not playing today. The season is over. So he was organizing a political protest at an event that his child was not participating in," quote unquote. Chilliwack School Board following suit with Abbotsford, Burnaby, and other school districts, and they will not mandate vaccines for teachers in class and for support staff. Now, the board felt that the current safety precaution simply is working. Now, the board released a statement on this, and we will have an interview with School Board Chair Willow Reichelt later on in the show. BC Housing made a major faux pas in their release of what was to be available for emergency winter shelters for the homeless. They listed the address of the old and now closed Portal Shelter, and once that hit regular media as well as social media, you can imagine the controversy. The portal was run by Ruth and Naomi's, and it was heavily criticized by the neighbors for rampant and open crime and drug use. Tom Chamberlain with BC Housing, as well as the provincial government, spent the better part of a day having to do some backtracking for that mistake in their media release. Mayor Ken Popoff contacted chillTV News to express his concern as well. So in the end, it was actually the fact that somebody forgot to proofread a media statement. The portal was never supposed to be in the mix. The 5th edition of the Chilliwack Independent Film Festival returning as a hybrid event. You can experience it in person at the Cottonwood Cinema starting next week, November 19th to the 21st. You can then discover all the films on a virtual platform, again starting November 19th, but that will run till December the 5th. And all the information is now up on their various social media platforms. Life Labs and the BCGEU coming to a contract agreement. The majority of the Life Lab workers voting in favor of a new deal. The collective agreement covering members at 94 different locations across BC. That includes Chilliwack. So this means those that are working in as couriers, technical assistants, as well as technology and information specialists. The province is beginning a process to phase out BC's mink farming industry due to ongoing public health risks associated with COVID-19. And there are farms in both Chilliwack and Abbotsford. Now, this is a 4-year plan. And included in the proposed phase-out, a permanent ban on breeding mink, a permanent ban on live mink on farms, and that's by April of 2023, and all operations cease completely with all pelts being sold by 2025. 6 BC community leaders have received awards for their ongoing efforts in supporting victims of crime, including initiatives focused on gender-based violence and restorative justice. And one of them is from Chilliwack, Aaron Pete. He's best known for his podcast, Bigger Than Me. Pete won the Emerging Leaders Award. He works as a Native court worker with the Native Court Worker and Counseling Association of British Columbia. The 24th annual Community Safety and Crime Prevention Awards were held by a virtual ceremony this year. Coming up, our interview with School Board Chair Willow Reichelt. chillTV's News of the Week in conversation with the Chilliwack School Board Chair Willow Reichelt, this has been an interesting week to say the least. First off, there was an official release from the Chilliwack School District. It was communication from the Board of Education on a vaccine policy for School District 33. And there has been some confusion on why Jared Mumford signed off on it as vice chair. You did not. There was concern for you and another trustee in conflict of interest. So can you explain why you had to step back from this prior to the release of the document?
So we had some advice from BCPC, that's the BC Public Sector's Employer Association, that trustees who had children, spouses, or parents who worked in school districts shouldn't participate in the vote on whether or not to impose a mandate. They said that the vaccination status of your family member didn't matter in that, and that we should all recuse ourselves. So I had some issues with that because I didn't really think that my husband could be affected or my family could be affected monetarily by this, but I take advice that's given to me. So I did recuse myself, as did Trustee Spanky. So neither of us participated in the actual debate on whether or not to have a vaccine mandate in the school. And because we weren't there when that decision was made, Trustee Mumford signed off on the document. Now that the mandate discussion is over, Trustee Swanky and I were able to support the superintendent in how that decision is communicated in the district. And of course, as board chair, I can speak. Now that the decision's made, I can speak to it and I can talk about vaccines and all of that stuff. So.
And I'm just paraphrasing some highlights from the communication. The advice from the Fraser Health and Coastal Health medical officers is that a vaccine mandate for staff is not likely to significantly reduce the comparative risk in schools. And then further on, given the analysis of the quantitative and qualitative data, the Board of Education does not support a vaccination policy at this time. This sounds very similar, and correct me if I'm wrong, is this pretty much the same wording as some of the other districts who are saying the same thing about not going with this mandate, Abbotsford, Burnaby, and such? Am I correct on that, or do they have slightly different worded releases?
Well, I think the wording is slightly different, but there's been a lot of coordination between boards all over the province. We've had, even though I was eventually told I couldn't vote or participate, I participated in a lot of meetings at the provincial level, at least 3 board chairs meetings, both provincial ones and regional ones. I also went to the provincial board chairs conference recently. I had a meeting with Fraser Health with all the board chairs from the Lower Mainland. And there was a very strong desire to be on the same page and try to work together, because no one wanted to have, one district imposing a mandate, or half and half especially, and having districts pitted against each other. BCPC also came out with a document that walked us through a procedure for how we would go about approaching the vaccine mandate decisions. There has been a strong desire for people to work together. So there could still be districts that do pass a mandate. So far that hasn't happened, and there is a reason why it's mostly similar messaging, because we got the same information from our health authorities that they don't feel like it would, that there's not a real public health reason to do a mandate at this point.
Was there extensive discussions with the school districts that are on either side of Chilliwack, Abbotsford and District 78, which is Hope into the Canyon? Did you have extensive conversations, or was everybody pretty much independent in making their decision?
Well, we had the Fraser Valley board chairs have a group where we talk to each other. When we had our meeting with Fraser Health, we were all there and we're all talking together. because I wasn't going to vote on this mandate, I didn't personally go and like have real discussions on how we're going to approach it with people, but we were definitely all talking to each other. But there was no like Chilliwack phoning Abbotsford specifically or Chilliwack phoning Fraser Cascade. Although, like I say, I don't know absolutely everything that happened during the discussions because I didn't actually participate in the actual debate on this issue. So.
What is the general feel, if you can talk about it, excuse me, when the province said the provincial health minister is going to step back, this is now in the hands of school boards. Were you taken by surprise? Were you taken aback? Or you just say, okay, we have to work with this. They're giving us direction. We have to do something with this.
There was some frustration because the message that we've gotten since the start of the pandemic is that we need to all just listen to public health and all stay on message and follow the public health guidelines. And then, so when public health was saying they weren't supporting a mandate, for then the government to tell us we needed to start talking about this was a bit frustrating. But then the Minister of Education did speak to us at the Joint Partners Conference, and she did explain that there isn't really a statutory way for it is an employee issue, and so the provincial government isn't really the one who makes employee decisions for individual districts. So they were trying to give us that authority to deal with it as an employee issue. It did definitely cause some angst and confusion amongst boards.
And was there direct talks with the unions representing not only teachers but support staff?
We did get communication from both unions. QP was very opposed to a mandate. The CTA was, they said they wouldn't oppose one. They weren't really for or against. They wouldn't oppose it. I know DPAC was very much in favor of a mandate. We got a letter from them as well. But we were, like I said, I wasn't involved in the discussion, but there was a strong desire on the part of trustees in all districts that I've talked to really look at the science and try to make a decision based on what was best for kids and for the system as a whole. So that was why this decision was made, I believe.
And just touching base that media outlets were given a document that was not, quote unquote, called a substitute motion. As I understand it, if this was in camera, are we even allowed to talk about it? And if not, I understand if you don't want to talk about it because as I understand this, anything that's in camera stays in camera and is not for public consumption.
That's true. So anything that happens in camera, we're not supposed to talk about. The official position of the Chilliwack Board of Education is on our website, and it is that we didn't go with the mandate because it's not supported by Fraser Health, and that our schools are safe, and that we really encourage everyone, though, to get vaccinated, especially community members, because, it's our actually low vaccination rates in the community that are causing cases within our schools. So please get vaccinated, everybody. Vaccines are safe and effective. Very, very important to get vaccinated. That's our official position as a school board. Any other communications you've seen are not reflective of this district's position or this board's.
Chilliwack School Board Chair Willow Reichelt, and again, a big thank you for taking time out on this Remembrance Day for joining us.
Thank you.
And you're watching chillTV's News of the Week. Plenty of football playoff action last week. First, setting aside the protesters, congratulations to the Giants junior bantam team and the Giants Pee-wee white team for winning their semifinal games. So it's off to the finals on Saturday, both against Abbotsford. So you can follow the progress through their YouTube channels and pay-per-view. Go to the Giants' social media for more information. This weekend's BC Football Conference Cullen Cup between the Langley Rams and the Okanagan Sun will be at McLeod Athletic Park Saturday afternoon. Last weekend, the Langley Rams didn't have too much trouble with the Valley Huskers. They won 39-8. The Sun punched their ticket to the Cullen Cup with a 33-0 win over the Vancouver Island Raiders. Now, for the record, Huskers finish at 4-5. They made the playoffs for the second time in the last 3 seasons, and head coach Bob Reese believes the program is poised for a big leap forward next year in 2022. Meanwhile, UFE Cascades men's soccer bandwagon simply ran out of gas one step shy of the Canada West podium. They dropped a 2-0 decision to Mount Royal in the conference bronze medal game last Sunday in Calgary. The upside is that a small school like UFE made the final National Four, so the future does look bright for the soccer program. chillTV weather, it is a damp weekend and showers and the high of 10 degrees. There is a rainfall warning for Thursday night well into Friday. Also, keep track of mountain passes as they have been receiving the annual November snow. If you'd like to participate in reporting news in Chilliwack and you have a story you think we should know about, send us a note to news@chilltv.ca. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching, and take a moment and remember the sacrifices made by so many for this country today. I'm Don Lehn.